Shalom everyone. This week's Torah portion opens with the scene of Abraham having just undergone circumcision, sitting by the door of his tent, looking for passerbyers to invite into his home to bestow kindness and generosity upon them. And of course, God comes to visit Abraham, to visit him to help him heal from his surgery of Brit Milah, of circumcision. And suddenly he sees the three strangers walking down the road. And he asks God to wait as he runs towards the strangers and invites them into his home and hastily prepares a meal, asking Sarah to prepare cakes and asking Ishmael, his son, to prepare a calf, tender and good. And he stands over his guests and serves them. And it's fascinating to note that what was last week's Torah portion all about? The trials that Abraham faced. He was told at 75 years old, journey to a land that I will show you. And there when he comes on the way to Egypt, he encounters a famine, and his wife Sarah is confiscated, and his nephew Lot is abducted, and he has to go to war to free his nephew from captivity as a hostage. And after all these trials and tribulations, he doesn't lose faith in humanity and in the potential and the goodness of mankind. And here he is, after everything he's endured, still looking to invite strangers into his home, to not only share a meal with them, but to share words of inspiration, to guide them in faith of God, to teach monotheism, to preach a better way for all of mankind. And this is the model that the Torah is depicting to us about Abraham. To be a Jew means that despite the harsh realities of life that we encounter as a Jewish people, despite the hatred and everything we endure, like Abraham, the first Jew who endured so much hardship in his life, our hearts still remain open and warm and receptive to love and to the possibilities of transforming those around us and inspiring others through kindness, love, and generosity. Because if we become hardened through the persecution and oppression we experience, then we've allowed the enemy to win. Yes, we have to fight evil just like Abraham did. We have to be vigilant and we have to be warriors, but at the same time we can never lose faith and hope for a brighter future, for the good of humanity and bringing the world towards belief in God and loving kindness and relationships based on goodness. When we were in Israel visiting the hostages, one of the many hostages we visited in the hospital was Alon Ohel. Now he was a very famous hostage because Alon is a pianist. And when he was in captivity for 2 years, people were having special tributes to him because they would take out pianos and put them in public squares and put up a big sign that said, "You are not alone," in yellow. Of course, his name is Alon Ohel. You are not alone. And in the middle of Hastad Square, there was a big yellow piano. And many famous artists in Israel came to Hastad Square to play on that yellow piano, remembering the captivity of Alon Ohel with the words, "You are not alone," not only referring to Alon Ohel, but to all of the hostages, that they're not alone, that the Jewish people are with them, and thinking about them and praying for them and advocating every day and fighting for their release. Well, when he finally came home, he told us that in captivity, of course he didn't have a piano, so he would use his feet. He would play with his legs by using his legs as a keyboard, and he would play with his fingers to be able to imagine that he was playing the piano, reciting the keys and the notes from his memory. And I remember sitting with him in the hospital, and I asked him, "Did you get to play piano yet?" And he raised his fingers and he showed us that his fingers had like band-aids on it because they were so weak, and they were healing from all the suffering that he went through, including beatings. And he said, "My fingers are not strong enough yet to be able to play, but I'm looking forward to play piano." Well, just this past week, on one of the biggest shows in Israel called Eretz Nederet, a magnificent, beautiful country, one of the most popular TV shows in Israel, Alon Ohel was invited on to play with the cast, and all of Israel watched him perform on a beautiful piano, the same piano that was used in Hastad Square, with the same words, "You are not alone." And he performed music, something he dreamed of doing in captivity for 2 years. And which song did he choose to play as his first song back from captivity? A beautiful song, Israeli song called Tachat HaShamayim, Under the Skies. We've come to you like two birds. And the closing lyrics of the song, and this is perhaps why he chose it, was Lamarot HaPachad, despite the fear, Ulamarot HaKe'ev, and despite the pain, Ularamot Hatzar, and despite the sorrow, Ani Ohev V'Ohev V'Ohev, I will love and love and love. And the cast that played with him and sang just kept on going on and on. I will love and love and love. Here is a man who endured 2 years of brutal captivity, but his message is, despite it all, I will continue to love. Have a wonderful day.